Hey friend, this is Mai with Creative Vibes, and today I want to share 3 benefits of music therapy when working with intellectually or developmentally disabled people. Of course, there's so much more than the 3 I'm listing here, but these are a few big ones that I think are important to touch on. They are opportunities to succeed and build self-esteem, non-speaking and speaking communication, and social skills and emotional regulation. The core tenet that I try to focus on when I'm working with this population is to just respect their humanity and focus on their strengths and abilities, not what they're lacking. So often I find that disabled people, particularly adults, though this is also an issue with children as well, are spoken down to, and their ways of communicating are not respected because they're not what society has deemed right or normal. I try to be mindful of whether I'm placing society's version of functioning onto them, or if I'm encouraging them to express themselves in a true, authentic way. This requires me to dismantle the bias and expectations I've grown up with in order to see my clients as who they are and not who they should be. So, number 1, opportunities to succeed and build self-esteem. This goes right into my core tenet, as I want them to succeed in their way, not necessarily what I deem as successful. So this can look a lot of different ways. Sometimes success is just a big smile or a light tap-in of their fingers. Sometimes it's eye contact or bobbing their head. And I remember a time in internship when I was working with medically fragile and developmentally disabled children. And I spoke to my supervisors about how I wasn't even sure what I was doing was effective. They reminded me that I needed to reframe what I viewed as success, and they also pointed out that if I can be more in tune to each client's individual actions, I might find that it was more successful than I thought. So thanks Tony and Kelsey, I never forgot that lesson. I really appreciate that one. Offering opportunities to succeed and build self-esteem helps us build rapport and create an atmosphere where we become more confident and willing to try new things. I think this is one of the most important things, not just with this particular population, but with most of the clients that I work with. Adaptive instruments is one way that we can work on this together. Wrist bells, wrist cuffs for drumsticks, attaching a shaker to the foot. There's a lot of different adaptations that we can make. Another way is by just doing an improvisational jam. I try to hold a musical space for them to create music in their own way and support their music making throughout. So often our clients are placed into situations where they need to adapt to what society has deemed acceptable, and it's important to me that I provide a space where they can be fully themselves without masking and without judgment. So, number 2, speaking and non-speaking communication. Did you know that music therapy can aid in language development? One study on children with delayed speech development, which I'll link below, found that music therapy had a positive effect on their phonological capacity and understanding of speech, and that happened in just 8 weeks. But it's not just speech that we can tackle in music therapy. We can also work on non-speaking communication, like gestures, using an ADA device, or sign language. Non-speaking communication can be just as important and effective as speaking, and it's important to encourage communication in any way we can. Sometimes I'll write specific songs in order to work on certain speech syllables, or I'll leave space in the song for choice making. We can also work on communication through music making. For example, a client might be playing their instrument extremely loud and they might be playing over other people in the group. This is an opportunity to discuss listening to others and giving them space for their voices to be heard, and how we would want others to listen to us when we play or talk as well. Number 3, last but not least, social skills and emotional regulation. Again, with social skills, we have to be mindful that we're not demanding they do something just because of society's idea of what is normal and acceptable. For example, I don't always ask my autistic clients to make eye contact with me because there's more than one way for me to confirm that they're hearing what I'm saying. I don't ask that they stop stimming unless they are about to hurt someone in that group, and even in those instances, I might just ask them to do it somewhere else in the room. It's important to discuss social skills and how we can relate to others, but it's not always important to be a stickler for social rules. However, I've found a big part of working on social skills is having good emotional regulation skills, because without those, we can struggle with being out in a world that can be overwhelming and overstimulating. Sometimes that looks like creating music in a certain emotion and discussing what that might sound and look like. Sometimes it'll look like a music game where we all draw a certain emotion and have to guess what each person is playing on their instrument. These games can all work on social skills as a secondary goal, since it requires listening, taking turns, making choices, and connecting with others. I hope this video was helpful in learning more about how music therapy can benefit intellectually or developmentally disabled people. Again, I want to highlight that dismantling what society has taught us and appreciating each person for who they are is a big part in working with this population. Don't hesitate to reach out with any questions, and I'll see you next time. Thanks.